Silent confidence is one of the most misunderstood forms of attractiveness because people often think confidence must be loud, bold, or constantly on display. But the truth is that the most magnetic women are not performing for the room. They are grounded in themselves in a way that people can feel without a single word being spoken. This kind of confidence is subtle, almost invisible, yet incredibly powerful because it comes from a place of self-awareness rather than the need for validation. When you enter a room without rushing to be noticed, people notice. When you speak only when you have something to say instead of competing for attention, people lean in. There is a calm energy about you, an ease in the way you carry yourself, a softness in your presence that feels safe and authentic. And authenticity is rare, which makes it deeply attractive in a world full of performance. Even if you don't always feel confident, the fact that you keep showing up reveals a resilience people see and admire. Silent confidence doesn't mean you never feel insecure. It means you're not ruled by your insecurity. There's a difference between having doubts and allowing those doubts to take control of your behavior. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the commitment to act even when fear is present. You show confidence when you choose not to compare yourself to others, even when the world constantly tries to make you question your worth. You show confidence when you resist the urge to prove yourself to people who haven't earned that kind of access to your energy. You show confidence when you stay grounded in your values even when someone tries to test your boundaries. This quiet inner strength is what makes you attractive because it signals emotional stability, security, and maturity. You are not trying to be better than anyone. You are simply focused on being the best version of yourself. That alone separates you from the crowd in ways you don't always realize. People often think confidence is a personality trait, but in reality, it is a daily practice shaped by your habits, choices, and mindset. Every day you wake up and decide whether to pour energy into self-doubt or into self-respect. Silent confidence is built when you choose the latter, even on the days when it feels harder to believe in yourself. It shows through the way you maintain eye contact, not aggressively, but with presence. It shows in the way you stand, the way you walk, the way you breathe when conversations grow tense or emotional. It shows when you speak slowly instead of rushing your words, because rushing is what people do when they fear being judged. You don't try to dominate the room. You simply exist in it with self-assurance, and that quiet presence carries far more power than trying too hard to impress anyone. One of the most attractive things about silent confidence is that it doesn't depend on approval. You're not looking for people to validate you, and that independence makes your presence more compelling. When a woman isn't chasing validation, she becomes someone others naturally want to validate. When she isn't desperate for attention, she becomes someone people naturally want to pay attention to. This kind of energy draws respect from men, admiration from women, and curiosity from strangers, because it communicates that you know your worth without needing to broadcast it. You're not threatened by others, and you're not trying to outperform or outshine anyone. You simply hold your space. And in doing so, you show that your value isn't negotiable, your confidence isn't dependent on compliments, and your sense of self isn't shaped by anyone else's opinion. Having high standards without fear is one of the strongest signs of an attractive woman, because it shows that you value yourself more than you value temporary attention. A woman who knows what she wants doesn't panic when someone pulls away, because she understands that losing someone who can't meet her standard is not a loss but a filter. She's not arrogant. She's aware that her time, her love, and her emotional energy are not unlimited resources. She knows that giving access to the wrong person costs more than being alone ever will. She doesn't view standards as walls to keep people out, but as doors that only the right ones will walk through. And that energy is irresistible because it shows confidence in her own worth. People don't want what is desperate for them. They want what respects itself enough to be selective. Every time she communicates her boundaries clearly, she sends a message about the kind of love she is available for. She is not afraid to say what she needs, not because she demands perfection, but because she understands the difference between compromise and self-betrayal. There is a calmness in the way she expresses her expectations, not as a threat, but as a statement of identity. She doesn't ask for loyalty, consistency, or respect as a favor. She expects them because she gives them. And men notice this instantly. A woman with standards creates a dynamic where effort matters, where intention matters, where actions matter more than words. She is not impressed by promises. She is moved by follow-through, and this makes her not only attractive, but unforgettable. A woman with high standards is not difficult. She is discerning. She doesn't give attention to someone who hasn't shown genuine interest. She doesn't invest in someone who keeps her in emotional confusion. She doesn't chase mixed signals or romantic chaos. She chooses clarity over games, peace over drama, and effort over excuses. This is not because she thinks she is better than anyone, but because she knows that love should not feel like constant uncertainty. She understands that real connection requires emotional maturity, and she refuses to settle for less than emotional alignment. She would rather wait for someone capable of meeting her with honesty than entertain someone who drains her energy with inconsistency. Her standards also show how she handles disappointment. When someone does not meet her expectations, she doesn't try to change them or convince them to do better. She simply steps back, not from a place of anger, but from a place of self-respect. She knows that if she lowers her standards for someone, she teaches them that she doesn't really mean what she says. She teaches them that her boundaries are suggestions, not commitments, and she refuses to live like that. She would rather walk away early than stay long enough to regret it. This ability to detach when necessary makes her incredibly attractive because it shows strength, emotional intelligence, and self-control. Most importantly, her standards make her valuable because they show that she is not looking for attention. She is looking for alignment. She doesn't care how many people want her. She cares whether the right person values her. She doesn't need grand gestures. She needs consistency. She doesn't want someone who chooses her only when it's convenient. She wants someone who shows up even when it's not easy. Standards are not about making life harder for others. They are about making life easier for her by removing the wrong people quickly. And any woman who has the courage to choose long-term peace over short-term validation radiates a level of attractiveness that is impossible to ignore. Emotional warmth is one of the most underrated yet powerful forms of attractiveness because it reaches people on a level that looks can never touch. A woman who brings warmth doesn't need to be the most beautiful in the room because she is the most felt. She has a presence that makes people exhale when she enters because she carries an energy of calmness instead of chaos. Her warmth shows in her ability to listen without immediately turning the conversation back to herself. It shows in the way she gives her attention fully, not partially while scrolling or multitasking. It shows in her ability to connect, not through intensity, but through genuine curiosity about people's experiences. When she speaks, she doesn't try to dominate the space, she contributes to it. And this emotional safety she creates becomes magnetic because people crave someone who doesn't make them feel judged or unseen. Warmth is not the same as weakness, and a warm woman is never to be mistaken for someone who lacks boundaries. Her warmth isn't performed. It's authentic, and authenticity has a gravitational pull that is impossible to fake. She is kind, but she is not naive. She is soft, but she is not fragile. She is open-hearted, but not open to everyone without discernment. Her warmth is valuable precisely because it isn't given to just anyone, it must be earned. And when someone does earn it, they feel a kind of emotional depth that is rare in a world where connection often feels rushed and surface level. Her empathy doesn't drain her, it enriches her relationships, and people feel lucky to be around someone who can bring comfort without losing herself in the process. What makes emotional warmth so attractive is that it makes people feel understood, and being understood is one of the deepest human desires. This woman can listen to someone's story and hear not only the words, but the emotion beneath the words. She knows how to be present without interrupting, without competing, without solving everything. She understands that sometimes people don't want a solution, they want a moment of connection. She communicates with her eyes, her tone, her body language, signaling safety without saying a word. And men are especially drawn to this because emotional safety is something most of them rarely experience. She becomes the place where they can finally put their guard down, and that experience makes her unforgettable in ways physical beauty never could. Her warmth also shows in how she handles conflict, because she approaches difficult moments with emotional maturity instead of impulsive reactions. She doesn't lash out, escalate, or weaponize her emotions. She communicates calmly, expressing how she feels without attacking anyone's character. She knows that the purpose of communication is understanding, not victory. Even when she is hurt or disappointed, she approaches the situation with grace instead of bitterness. This emotional steadiness is incredibly attractive because it shows that she is not ruled by her impulses. She brings clarity in a world full of emotional chaos, and the person who brings clarity is always the person people want to keep close. Finally, emotional warmth makes her memorable because it transforms small interactions into meaningful experiences. A warm woman can make someone feel valued simply by the way she remembers small details, acknowledges effort, or expresses appreciation. She creates emotional connection not through grand gestures, but through consistent presence. Her laughter is genuine, her kindness intentional, her interest sincere. She doesn't need to pretend or perform because her authenticity is enough. And people are drawn to her not because she tries to be irresistible, but because she is real in a way that feels rare. Her warmth becomes part of her identity, and her identity becomes a source of comfort, inspiration, and attraction to everyone who meets her. Protecting your energy is one of the most powerful signs of an attractive woman because it shows that you understand the value of your emotional space. You do not allow just anyone to enter your world because you know that access to you is a privilege, not a default. You have learned that not every conversation, connection, or compliment deserves your time. You pay attention to how people make you feel, not just what they say. You observe consistency instead of getting swept away by chemistry. You choose peace even when excitement tries to pull you into chaos. You protect your space not out of fear of love, but out of respect for yourself. And that restraint creates a magnetic aura that people are naturally drawn to. A woman who protects her energy doesn't entertain people who drain her emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. She has learned the painful lessons of staying too long in situations where she gave too much and received too little. She no longer tries to fix people who show no desire to fix themselves. She doesn't try to be everything for someone who can barely show up for her. Instead, she pays attention to effort, alignment, and emotional reciprocity. She walks away from people who leave her feeling confused, anxious, or undervalued because she knows that confusion is not a foundation for connection. Her willingness to let go strengthens her boundaries, and those boundaries communicate her worth more loudly than any words ever could. Energy protection also shows through the way she handles communication. She doesn't rush to respond to messages that come with no intention. She doesn't cling to people who are inconsistent. She doesn't chase anyone who shows her she's not a priority. Instead, she allows distance to reveal truth. If someone drifts away, she doesn't run after them. She watches how far they go. If they return, she pays attention to why they're back. And if they treat her as an option, she removes herself from their lives without bitterness. Her detachment is never cold, it's composed. She understands that energy given to the wrong person is energy stolen from her future happiness. A woman who protects her energy understands the difference between being alone and being lonely. She chooses solitude when necessary because solitude gives her clarity. She uses that space to reconnect with herself, to rebuild her strength, to realign with her goals. She knows that the right person will never require her to sacrifice her peace just to feel loved. She refuses to shrink to fit into places that were never meant for her. She refuses to argue for her worth. She refuses to stay in environments that exhaust her more than they nourish her. This internal discipline makes her deeply attractive because it shows emotional maturity and self-respect at a level that is rare. What makes her truly magnetic is that she understands that anything she loses while protecting her peace was never meant for her. She does not chase closure, she creates it. She does not force connections, she observes them. She does not cling to potential, she trusts patterns. She has learned that emotional access is currency, and she invests it wisely. She surrounds herself with people who uplift her, inspire her, and help her grow instead of those who drain her spirit. And because she respects her own energy so fiercely, she attracts people who respect it too. Her boundaries do not push people away. They filter the wrong ones out and invite the right ones in. Her life becomes richer, and more meaningful because she chooses not to give her energy to what does not deserve it.